And we're back.
Welcome back, everybody, to the only podcast on the internet that knows being an American is both a privilege and a right.
That's right, folks. We are always happy to be both Americans and whatever else we chose to be. And we'll talk about that later on this podcast, which is known as Doctors.
But not doctors.
And I am Dr. Silverstein.
I'm Dr. Armshaw.
This week, we are going to be talking about things happening both in the UK and the US. Obviously, the US is still what we would call a dumpster fire under the yoke of both the now largely secret police who are running around arresting, murdering, kidnapping people. And what's happening in the UK, which unfortunately the man who is leading the party at the top of the polls wants to emulate that altogether.
Yep.
So I think we'll start today, this episode, with a very weird development on another dumpster fire known as X.
Wait, when you say X, Chris, do you mean the Everything app?
Oh yes, the Everything app. The thing about X, which I used to call it Twitter just to piss off, the Musk heads, but I think X is now its own thing. It's now separate from what Twitter was.
You're right. The ghost of Twitter has finally given up, and we are left with a husk, I would say, an interesting husk because of a recent development. I think it's this recent development that makes me agree with you that Twitter is no more. It's now officially X forevermore. Can you tell us about that development, Chris, out of curiosity?
Yeah, so basically, over the past, I guess it's now 2 or 3 years now that since Elon Musk walked into Twitter offices with the kitchen sink, and everybody's like, yes, free speech is coming back to Twitter, which basically meant he's letting in all the neo-Nazis and all the racists and all the fascists.
You are free to be exactly as Nazi as Elon Musk would prefer you to be. You're not free to be any less Nazi than that.
Exactly. So we knew that something bad was going to happen, but a lot of us, stayed on, as some of our listeners have pointed out. I only keep it on my work phone. I do not engage with it in my personal life. Because it almost instantly, the quality of what was on X, on Twitter, just declined, but also wasn't working properly. In the interim, Elon Musk introduced this thing called Grok. So he got into the AI game and created an AI that was supposed to be answering questions or whatever it was supposed to do. It was just obviously to be part of this AI bubble. Right. Grok's main function for a while was to, surprisingly, contradict things that Elon Musk had said. So Elon Musk kept on fixing Grok to make it better, and it became more anti-Semitic. It became more racist.
Are you referring to that moment in time, Chris, when there was such a thing as a Mecha Hitler, as Grok declared itself to be?
Yes, I am. I am referring to the time where Grok referred to itself as Mecha Hitler, because every time Elon Musk tried to make it more right wing, it went that way, but it leapfrogged into the right wing. I
mean, you would think that it might raise some concerns at some point that when you tell the AI to be more right wing than this, it immediately jumps to let's be Nazis. I feel like something's a little bit off there, right?
I don't think it jumped to that. I think it wasn't much of a jump, I guess. I think it was told only refer to these sources, only do this one thing, only do that thing.
Right. Work in claims of white genocide in South Africa into responses regarding how many pounds of sugar should I use in this banana bread.
Yeah. There was also another Grok feature was when people would ask questions like who would be the best prime minister or president of a country, Grok would always answer Elon Musk, and it would be like, because of his business acumen and his physical fitness, Elon Musk would of course be the best president of Mongolia. and you're like,
who should I pick for my pickup basketball team? Michael Jordan, circa 1994, or Elon Musk? And of course, the answer is Elon Musk.
Because of his business acumen and physical fitness.
Exactly. There you go, Chris. There you go.
Elon Musk would have beaten Michael Jordan in his prime because he is so smart and come from South Africa. Grok became this massive propaganda machine because Grok was, part of the ethos behind Grok was that it was going to not be woke.
Right. Which meant that it couldn't be it couldn't be neutral and report facts insofar as it could understand the concept of facts, which it can't because it's text complete. But he had to create a system where it would reject sources that it disagreed with, only report sources that it did agree with, because that's the only way to get a consistently not woke view of reality.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And even when they were trying to create Grok and make a Grok like that, Grok was just pulling from the most reliable sources, the biggest sources, the sources that had the most, I'm assuming, citations. And that's why they had to consistently fix Grok to make Grok more right wing, so that they could point to something and say, "Oh, look, this AI agrees with me." It agrees with you because you made it agree with you. AI isn't alive. It's only as good as the person who programmed it, which is you, and you're a fascist. So. So Grok has had a rough year, 2 years, but it got a lot worse over the Christmas break. Again, I popped on my phone to see if anything was happening, and there were because what X is now it's just a lot of adult content. It's a lot of far-right stuff. It's a lot of alt-right stuff. So it's basically the perfect funnel for a teenage boy to go onto it and then get pushed right into the alt-right red pill, what's his face, Andrew Tate pipeline.
There has to be a better way for young men to access porn. Like, if you're going on Twitter to look at boobies, Jesus Christ, guys, you got to get more creative. That's basic bitch shit.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously there's issues because the UK has this new law which makes you have to put in your ID in order to look at any kind of either, not even just adult material, but if you want to chat online on video games consoles, if you want to be on even Blue Sky, they rely you need to put this in there in order to use all of the functions. So it was not unusual to see adult material on X. What was unusual was that people kept on asking Grok to do things to pictures. And
I see. So using it for image modification then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And presumably it would only do that if the person who was in the picture gave their consent, right? That's clearly built into the system, right? Grok wouldn't allow you to do that to just anyone's picture, right?
Yeah, no. Anyone could ask Grok to do something to a picture, and I'm not bullshitting. I'm assuming that it did, right? Okay. And the problem is that people are asking Grok to do things, to change the clothing on people who are both that did not give their consent, but also people who are underaged.
Oh, sorry. When you say removing the clothing of people who are underage, you would mean basically using Grok to create child porn. Is what you're talking
using
about.
Grok to create what the UK and I believe Ireland has referred to as potentially create child sex abuse images.
That is incredibly dark.
And I mean, this had been going on for a while, and people in the UK government, I'm sorry, Parliament just came back last week, where I work, and everything that I say is my own. People have been trying to figure out how to deal with this. And the UK has basically come up with the idea of banning X in the UK unless they can figure out a way to sort out Grok. And so what X did was that they made Grok not accessible to people who are just regular members, but still accessible to people who pay for the little blue dot check mark.
Oh, well, that's great, Chris. You see what that means then is that you could pay Elon Musk to create child porn for you. He's got a business that creates child porn. I don't think that's actually better. I think that might actually be worse.
I would agree. It is worse.
What the hell? Oh my God. That cannot be the response. That's the response, isn't it?
It wasn't just that, but then Elon Musk went even further and said that the UK is a fascist state because the UK is trying to restrict free speech.
Right. In the free speech in the very specific form of child pornography. Oh my God.
Yeah, what
the hell?
Yeah, I mean, first off, obviously Elon Musk is trying to stoke some kind of violent uprising in the UK. I mean, that is a definite thing. He he is working with Tommy Tin Names, Stephen Yaxulinen to stoke this movement of which is prevalent all over Twitter, that if you aren't Christian then you are a threat. There is high amounts of Islamophobia as well as anti-Semitism. The people who are promoted on X, are people who basically in any other venue they would not be amplified in the way that they are. A Rupert Lowe MP, who used to be a Reform MP, and then fell out with Nigel Farage because it is a cult of personality and there can only be one. And Rupert Lowe, who was I think he was a businessman before. I mean, like a big deal businessman. I think he owned maybe a football club. I'll check.
Oh, okay.
I will check just to make sure, but he fell out with with Nigel Farage. Then Elon Musk came back and basically started amplifying Rupert Lowe tweets because Nigel Farage had to start softening his position on Elon Musk because Elon Musk was saying all these horrible things about the UK and just basically partying with the wrong people. Elon Musk, there was some big alt-right march to take back control of the UK, anti-immigration march. It happened like in the fall of last year, like maybe October or something. And I mean, like, and Elon Musk is the guy who pops up on screen saying, your country's being invaded, your country's being, effectively saying that you good white people need to get out there and sort stuff out. He's also amplified white supremacist tweets just this week.
Oh, what an amazing surprise! My God,
I am so shocked.
Can I ask the details? How bad is this?
This white supremacist tweet?
Yeah.
It was something like, the only way that the culture is going to survive is if white people basically come to the fore and become the leaders and do all that again. And then he just retweets and says 100%. I'll get the full words in a second.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's also worth keeping in mind that like this kind of rhetoric is, like there is actual violence against immigrant communities. Like a few months back in Northern Ireland, Ballymena, there was a terrible riot basically where a bunch of white supremacists like went to war against the immigrant families that lived in their neighborhood. They attempted to burn down houses with people in it. They smashed windows. Yeah. So like, and of course, they claimed when interviewed by the media that it wasn't all immigrants that they were after, just the bad ones. That does not seem to have figured into who they tried to murder. And what's really shocking is that The Guardian interviewed people on the street 6 months later, and the people who were in the neighborhood who were not immigrants, the sort of Northern Irish people that they spoke to, were all basically like, yeah, no, the riots were, went a little bit out of hand, but ultimately it was a good thing, because it it showed the immigrants who's boss. So I mean, there really is the potential for horrible right-wing violence when it gets directed against immigrants, when people are being told that if you're not white and if you're not Christian, that you are a threat and that threat must be dealt with. A lot of people will react violently.
And that's what Rupert Lowe is now. That's his whole thing. Like Rupert Lowe is this guy who, so we've talked about this inquiry into child sex abuse gangs, child grooming gangs, sex grooming gangs in the UK or in England. And the problem that people basically wanted it only focused on Muslims and people from Pakistan and acting as if like white people didn't do it.
Right.
I got that quote, by the way, that Elon Musk supported. It was, it isn't just one. And it goes like this. It says, if white men become a minority, we will be slaughtered, period. Remember, if non-whites openly hate white men while white men, all caps for the whites, by the way, while white men hold a collective majority, then they will be 1,000 times more hostile and cruel when they are a majority over whites. White solidarity is the only way to, it keeps going. And Elon Musk just retweets it with 100.
Right. Okay, yes, so this is it.
That's
incredible how flat out, like it's schizophrenic, Chris. Like
Oh,
it's a fundamental break with reality to believe that if you are not the majority in a country, you are going to get genocided by definition. When, there are countries in which white people are not a majority, and contrary to Elon Musk's claims, they're not getting genocided, such as, South Africa, the literal country that he is from.
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Like it.
I got one more for you here.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
So
Let's
another
hear it.
one again. No,
Yeah.
I'm not on X right now. I'm reading this off of a website.
Mm.
Person says, I don't understand this reaction. She believes private homes should be seized. White people, people specifically, should be targeted. This group, blah blah blah. And then Elon Musk says no. So then JD Vance retweets this white power tweet and says, "Call me crazy, but I don't think we should be seizing people's property based on skin color. Confiscation of land from anyone who isn't black was formally passed into South African law. That is where America is headed, if not stopped." This is what he's doing. He's trying to stoke this hyper racist kind of like the Southern strategy, he's trying to you vote for him because you want to be on the top, and you think that the best way to do that is by bringing back slavery or apartheid or segregation. I don't want you drinking out of my water fountains, and I don't want you. I mean, this is where this goes, because the origins of these ideas are from segregation. They're from hyper racist America back in the in the 1800s and 1900s.
Do you think it's possible, Chris, that when, the Civil Rights Act was passed in 1965, when segregation was finally ended in the United States, that didn't mean that all the segregationists suddenly said, oh, I guess we were wrong this whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think maybe they're still here, and maybe they just think that they're in charge now, and so they can be open and proud about it again?
Maybe they held on to their money and their power, and they just, got a little bit quiet for a few decades, but never stopped promoting the horrible ideology that kept them in power, because it kept them in power. It made sure that there was no competition, and now they seem to be owning a lot of media outlets like X, which is no longer Twitter. So
well, Chris, I mean, it's, as they say, ABK. Always be clanning.
Always be clanning. Yeah. Always be clanning. Yes, from that very famous movie, Glengarry Hood Ross. Yes. Basically, I know that there's a lot of people who stay on X because a lot of the journalists are still there.
Right.
A lot of news is still kind of put out through the platform. But I mean, it just like everything else when you deal with this stuff, it is just slowly eating itself to death.
Yeah.
So I just, gotta be careful out there. I mean, there was a senator or a rep or somebody who was on a plane who was on X and was scrolling and went straight, and somebody took a picture of him with one of the adult content images up. And so it looked like he was looking at porn on the airline.
Right, looking at porn on the airplane, like a perfectly reasonable elected official.
and you don't know, and like he could be like, I was just scrolling and that popped up, and you're just like, right. You can't say that that's true or not true, because that's what that website is now.
Incredibly plausible that is exactly what happened, isn't it? That is God, that is wild. That is wild.
Yeah, that is wild. Yeah, so I think that we can, for now, move on from this and see where it goes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was just going to say just one final question. Like, is there any indication that Elon Musk has taken into consideration the idea that he might, just tell Grok to stop making child pornography? That might be, because I mean, if he can make it declare itself to be Mecha Hitler, if he can make it sort of like spout lies about white genocide into completely unrelated queries, surely he should be in a position to be able to make it just not create child sex abuse material, right? Like, should that not be a thing that he could do if he has such incredible control over what it is that Grok does?
He could do that, but then he would lose engagement on the site. And all of this is done to promote engagement on X, because nobody wants to be there anymore, because you're surrounded by a bunch of racists and fascists.
Yeah.
And like, who wants to hang out with them? I mean, basically it's a bubble chamber now, an echo chamber for the far right. It promotes just the worst human beings, saying the worst things possible because, they're upset that they couldn't say it before, but now, they're emboldened.
Yep.
And he could easily himself just say, Grok, do not take off people's clothes, or do not change their clothes. Do not make underage people wear more revealing or sexualized clothing. It just
right.
But yet that hasn't happened. All they did was X partially restricted access to Grok on Friday. Its public account lost the ability to generate images at the request of free users, leaving the function only available to paid subscribers. It also appeared to have stopped creating bikini images, appeared to have done that, but we'll see.
Hooray. Look at that. The system works. Oh, no, wait. The system is horrifying. Sorry, I had that mistaken in my mind.
Sorry. There's one last point here from the Irish Times. The Grok app, however, which does not generate images publicly, is still able to create sexually explicit material from women's pictures. So, yeah. I guess we'll just have to wait and see if Elon Musk does the right thing. But, he might try to start an insurrection in the United Kingdom to make sure you can make your
maybe the guy who gives Nazi salutes agrees with white supremacists in public and is actively calling people fascists for trying to rein in his child pornography machine. Maybe he'll do the right thing. Maybe that's what'll happen.
It's wild.
Yeah.
We're almost a year out from that fateful day of when he did the salute.
Right. Yeah, you're right. We're coming up on it. We're coming up on the Hitlerversary. Boy, when that mask comes off, doesn't it?
Yeah. As we're learning very quickly. I think, as I also said before, Nigel Farage and his party are still ahead in the polls. They're about between 27 and 32%, just like they were before. Yep. And they rely on this app as well to keep their momentum going. So, any smart legislator would be like, you need to stop. People should, this is my personal view, because I know no one's actually going to do this, but people need to get off Twitter and at the very least stop using it. And I'd say keep your account on there so that no one else could pretend to be you.
Good point.
But definitely, just you got to move on to somewhere else. And there has been an exodus. A lot of people have gone to Blue Sky. There's a couple of other social media apps out there. People are going to Instagram, obviously TikTok, which is its own thing, and Threads. People, and obviously Facebook, which is its own bin fire, but
it's kind of a problem. It's a collective action problem, though, right? Because what made Twitter so powerful was that everyone was on it, because it was it was the first mover, right? So it got there first. It was able to consolidate, is able to create a sort of center of gravity for itself, and attract everything to it, and breaking out of that gravitational field. That means a bunch of people choosing to do it at once, but also that you're not just sort of balkanize into, well, there's the left-wing Twitter equivalent, and then there's the centrist Twitter equivalent, and there's the right-wing, but, not fascist Twitter equivalent, because then that sort of loses the whole point of Twitter, which was that it was a place where everybody was. That was the value that it added. And now it's just sort of now it's the Nazi bar that everyone used to go to. Yeah, but still, all the powerful people are still hanging out at the Nazi bar, which that's not great. That's not a great look.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
This Grok thing, I think is not helping. It's probably, might wake some people up, but because that seems to be the bar for right wingers, is that they don't want to be fully associated with that particular aspect of criminality. But that bar is still pretty low, and they're still trying to figure out a way to still, use it. But,
Yeah, I gotta say, man, it is can you imagine being a QAnoner, a MAGA head who legitimately believed it all, right? Who was operating in good faith. Yeah. Someone who believed, the Democrats are obviously a party of, Satan worshiping pedophiles. So clearly Donald Trump has to come in and just sweep away the rubbish and save the children. This is going to be great. And then you get him elected again. Yeah. And then you find yourself surrounded by a bunch of Nazis who are defending child pornography while the Epstein files are being illegally kept from you. And at some point, you're probably going to say to yourself, are we the baddies?
Have I been duped?
Yeah.
Guys, I don't think I'm on the right side anymore.
Yeah.
And that has happened. That has happened.
Yeah.
The QAnon shaman, the dude who
Oh,
went,
yeah.
yeah, so he doesn't support Trump anymore because of the lack of releasing the files. He's still crazy, right? He's still,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, but at least he
crazy,
does.
kind of crazy. So,
And I mean, I assume that he wouldn't vote for Trump, but I mean, like, that's its own thing. Moving
yeah.
on,
Let's move on. You're right.
Yeah, let's move on.
Hmm.
Let's turn now to the United States of America.
Hmm.
And I think that we need to start with this Minnesota shooting.
Yeah, I think we do. I think you're right.
It is like it is obviously polarizing. And it's not the first time ICE has killed somebody,
That's true.
or shot somebody.
Hmm.
But obviously this one is because it's at the very beginning of the year. So do you want to talk about what happened, Patrick?
Yeah. All right. So this is this is just an incredibly nasty situation. So basically, ICE has been operating in Minneapolis. Minneapolis very famously was the home of George Floyd, who was murdered by Derek Chauvin back in 2020. And this was such a bad kill, to use the terminology of the police, basically, that it was obvious to everyone who saw the video, because it was all caught on video, that what happened was that the police had just decided to murder a man, kneel on his neck so he couldn't breathe until he died. So it sparked this huge movement, just some of the biggest mobilizations America's seen, anti-racist movements, people calling for, reform for the police. Some people arguing for defunding the police. It was a big moment, and a big thorn in the side for Donald Trump. And in fact, he ended up losing the election later that year in 2020. So in the same city, very close to the site where this happened, ICE has been operating, and a woman named Renee Good was in her minivan with her wife. They had just dropped their kid off at school, 6 years old. And they saw that ICE was, rounding people up in the area. So they decided to blow whistles and to sort of, like, my understanding is that, the idea was to do what a lot of people have done, which is to let everyone in the neighborhood know, hey, ICE is here, because quite frankly, a lot of people just don't see the mass rounding up of millions of perfectly innocent people who contribute to their communities so you can, throw them into torture prisons. They don't see that as being like an appropriate use of taxpayer funds. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's in her minivan and she is confronted then by a few ICE agents. Her car is blocking traffic, although it's not clear to me that she was doing this to block traffic as much as she may have been attempting to turn around, and leave at that point. Anyway, so of the four ICE agents who surround her, one of them is directly in front of her windshield and pulls out his phone and starts recording her. I'm not certain if he was doing that to create a video for propaganda purposes, or if he was doing that for, like, his own legal reasoning, or if he was doing that to do a face recognition software or whatever. But so he gets into a heated altercation with her. Her last words were, "Look, dude, I'm not mad at you." At which point she starts to move the car away from him. He then pulls out his gun and shoots her 4 times in the head, killing her dead. So this is captured on video. This is captured on multiple videos from multiple perspectives, and it's very clear what happened. An ICE agent who is not under threat at all murdered a woman in cold blood in broad daylight. I don't know what legal defense he could possibly have, Chris. Like,
well, here's the problem, though. So the account that you gave, which everybody saw, which, I mean, again, like the clearest account of this was from the person's from the ICE agent's own phone. And it could show that she said, like, "I'm not angry at you." She had no, like, malicious or angry, she didn't seem very dangerous. But she turned her car away from the agent, right? And the agent backed away first, and then shot her as she was driving, as she started driving away. And that part that I described right there, that's the nexus of the current political debate. did this woman drive her car in to the ICE agent who was able to then shoot her, or did she drive it away from the ICE agent who then shot her? And depending on who you are and what part of the political aisle you are, you either believe that the woman in the car was a domestic terrorist, as was labeled by Trump and Kristi Noem and just about everybody.
JD Vance.
JD Vance. That basically immediately they said that she was, this, well-trained operative effectively, who basically, put this man's life at risk. And then Trump actually said the guy got hit and
he got dragged. It was in the hospital.
Yeah.
It's because he makes shit up, because he doesn't understand the distinction between truth and what he wants to be true, I think.
I think it's just creating the lie so that you have he's trying to set the narrative immediately, and then you have to undo what he said. I mean, it's a horrible tactic, but it works because people then have to be like, no, she didn't do this. That's not what's happened. That's not right. You have to consistently, repair the damage that he's done. But basically, the right wing and MAGA and the rest of them have been spending the past several days trying to paint this woman as a dangerous terrorist who deserved to die.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Where I think JD Vance said that, we can all recognize it was a tragedy, but it was a tragedy of her own making, because she tried to kill him, and everyone agrees that she accelerated into him. And that's a lie.
That is a lie.
Not everyone agrees with that at all. And the evidence doesn't support the idea that she accelerated into him at all. And the evidence does not support the idea that he was under threat or that he had a reasonable belief he was under threat. Like they're just lying when anyone can look at the video. And it's amazing to me because, like, if you make a claim and that claim is false, but no one can tell that it's false, well, then you can lie successfully, right? You can get people to agree with you because they want it to be true and they trust you or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if you're saying that something is false and people can literally go and verify, and in verifying see that you are lying, because you're not saying, I think this is what happened, although I didn't see the video. What you're saying is, oh, no, I saw the video and this happened. And that's not what happened in the video. Then
yeah, exactly.
Everyone knows you're lying. And I think it's a real indication of two things, Chris.
Yeah.
Number one, the depth of depravity of this fascist administration, that they have gotten to the point where they think that they could say to their followers, believe us and not what you see.
Yes, that is exactly what's happening.
The final command of the party was to ignore the evidence of your own eyes and ears, in the words of George Orwell. That this is just the flat out decision that, no, we can make our own reality. It will be whatever we want it to be because we think that our followers are sheep.
Yeah.
And will obey us. And we'll get them to say in public to other people that the appropriate penalty for disobeying an armed agent of the state is death. Yep. They're getting people, by doing that, what they're doing is basically getting a quick head count of who is desperate to give up their freedom, who is desperate to become a subject rather than a citizen. So I think that's one part of it.
Okay, that's one part of it. Yeah,
that's one part of it. Yeah.
But I think that group of people exists everywhere. I think there's always a group of people in every country who would prefer that your country was run by a fascist dictator, preferably your guy. It's almost always your guy. In Brazil, they have people who are like, what's great about the dictatorship? Just like nothing, man. And yet there are people who who would welcome the return of the dictatorship. There are people in America who, think that democracy has had its day because they know that they're on the right side of that of fascism right now. Well,
there are people in Russia who look back with fondness on the days of Stalin.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I think I don't think it's a purely right wing thing. I do think it's sort of, there's a segment of any society that is primed to be in favor of authoritarianism if they think that the authoritarianism will do what they want. Right.
Of course.
Yeah. And I think those people are fundamentally idiots because as we pointed out multiple times on the show, once the dictator is the dictator, they don't need you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why would they do what you want at that point?
I do think a lot of these people also believe that, they have some level of control over the dictator. Yeah. That the barrel will never be pointed at them.
Right. Yeah.
And it's always about 30% of your country or less. Like it's because like
Yeah.
look at the polls. Where's Trump at right now? It's about 30%. Where's Reform at now? About 30%.
Yep.
Like it's like, and that's a large portion of your country that's just like, hey, listen, we don't need elections anymore because we won. We got it right.
That's the thing. Like it's one of the ways that democracy is able to defend itself, right? Is that the 30% that is fundamentally in favor of, fascism, dictatorship, and all the rest of it, that they don't organize politically on the basis of fascism, dictatorship, and all the rest of it, right?
Yeah.
Where you get them to support one party or another on the basis of, well, I agree with them on like this issue. Actually, I am looking for lower taxes, or what, I really do want to see more funding for the NHS, and
I want to protect my country from the invasion of immigrants.
Well, this is the thing, right? You organize them on a basis that isn't. We're just gonna take over and then we'll rule forever.
Yeah.
You organize them on a basis other than that, and I think because Western democracy was so successful at doing that for so long, for several decades, that I think a lot of us just sort of forgot that. Oh no, they're still out there, and if you give them the real Coke instead of the Diet Coke, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That's what they're gonna gravitate towards, and that I think is like the sort of magic of Trumpism, so to speak, that baffled so many pundits. They didn't understand that what he was doing was offering, I will give you fascism and dictatorship. I will give you boots stamping on a human face forever, and that activated a bunch of people who might otherwise have voted Democratic, or might otherwise have not voted at all, or might otherwise have voted for a normal Republican or conservative, and got them all to vote in the same direction for the same guy.
Yeah, they mobilized that 30% and then put another 20% on top of it, or 19% on top of it, who were all scared about, the cost of living and things like that.
Right. Or, we're worried about the effects of immigration because, for their own reasons. You might still be a racist, even if you're not a fascist.
True.
So and obviously I'm not going to put any numbers to any of this, but it kind of seems like that's sort of the big thing here. He's got all the authoritarians on side, as well as the rest, or at least a big enough chunk of the Republican coalition.
But that's what he had. And the shooting, you're right, the shooting is really carving out what people are saying, because the appeal to your side to say, listen, guys, here's the deal. Here's the story. This is the line. You're going to have to take it. And obviously Fox News and all the pundits are like, this is domestic terrorist and she got, and that's what she deserves. What was going through my mind all week was Ashley Babbitt.
Jesus. Yeah. Okay. Unpack that for us, Chris.
This is like the left's Ashley Babbitt. Because in a very different way.
Well, in the sense that she wasn't armed with a knife and crawling through broken glass in order to murder people when she got shot. So slight different.
And for those of you at home who don't remember who Ashley Babbitt was, she was one of the people who attacked the Congress on January 6th. Mm-hmm. And she broke through the glass trying to get into, basically she was trying to break through a door to get to the House of Representatives chamber. And she basically pushed through the glass, was climbing through, and she was shot and killed.
She was warned repeatedly, by the way.
Sorry. Dude, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. By the officer who opened fire. And again, armed with a knife. Like, I don't know in what, because if she had gotten in, she would have unlocked the door and then the mob would have been in. And that mob was out for blood.
Yeah.
That was literally the point of it. So there was just, at least to my mind, there's no way to argue that wasn't a legitimate use of force in self-defense and defense of others. That's on all fours from a legal standpoint.
And also we need to recognize that it's the 5th anniversary of January 6th this past week.
Sure is.
And it's interesting that what happened at the beginning of this week was a person who was shot by the police. Now, in this case, so the right wing, when Ashley Babbitt got shot, they treated her like a martyr.
Yeah.
And basically said, this person, she was murdered by the police and had for no reason, and she was just on a peaceful tour of the Capitol with her 10,000 other friends, and there's been this back and forth kind of on the lower levels about her legacy, because I believe she was in the Air Force. was in the Air
She,
Force.
yeah, that's my understanding. She was an Air Force veteran.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
but in this case, there was no warning. This woman was just shot while driving away, trying to get effectively. I'm going to be honest. It looks like they were part of a, they were angry at the cops, or at least they didn't want. I'm sorry, not the cops. ICE. They didn't like ICE.
Yep.
They didn't want ICE to be in their neighborhood. But at no point,
which is their right as citizens of the United States,
and they're using their freedom of speech to express themselves. And then, as she was moving her car to get out of the way, she was shot 4 times.
In the head.
And here's the thing, though, like you could, because of how close you are to the car, and you saw the the ICE officer move out of the way, like you just get out of the way, and then he just unloads into the car, not knowing who else is in there, not caring. Yep. He could the kid could have been in there, could have killed the wife. There could have been three people killed. And I
mean, if you're willing to kill one innocent woman, Chris, why not 2? Why not kill children? Like, if you're the kind of person who is just going to, because you're angry and because you think that someone is doing something you don't like, that you have the right to murder them, you've already lost your humanity. Like, you're not human at that moment, you know? So, like, I don't think to this day, I doubt that man is saying to himself, my God, what if other people have been killed as well? I think what he's probably doing is saying to himself, yeah, she deserved to die, and I'm glad that I killed her. Like,
and he's gotten protection. His house was evacuated because the name of the shooter is out there.
Yeah, that's right.
But
I think his name is Jonathan Ross, and and I do not encourage anybody to ever break any laws. Like, I want to make that absolutely clear.
Okay.
But I am going to 100% say that I doubt that if the Trump administration is able to protect him legally from his circumstances, if he's somehow able to never face justice for what he has done, right? I doubt that this man will ever be looked at by any reasonable human being the same way again. Like, no. May he never outlive the shame.
Yeah. And that does bring us to the last point, which is that the Trump administration has effectively cut the Minnesota authorities out of this event, and they're basically trying to create a cover up again to protect Mr. Ross.
Well, if you're already covering up the Epstein files, you might as well, spread your wings a little bit, try new things.
Frankly, if I was that guy, I wouldn't want, because of the way they're covering up the Epstein files.
They're not very good at it, are they?
No.
Like, this is wild to me. What is the legal basis for saying, we are just not going to allow a sovereign state in the United States to investigate a violation of state law on its own territory, Like, I don't think they actually have the legal power to do that, Chris.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I think I've read that the district attorney in the area has already said, no, we're opening our own investigation. Because it's crazy, right? It's not like once they collect evidence from the scene, that's it. There's no more evidence. It's all on video. The evidence is all over the internet. We have the video. So, like, it's just a cack-handed attempt at top-down control. And I don't think it's going to work.
And edit visual cover up. So we've talked about this, and hopefully, we'll have to keep an eye on it as we do with so many of the violence that occurs in the States. But we're going to take a little break and come back in a second with part 2.
Yeah. We're going to move north, far north this time.
Further north. So we will see you there. And we're back.
Welcome back, everybody.
So okay, so we've talked about Minnesota. Let's go even further north. To a country that is not nearly as big as you think it is.
Is that a reference, Chris, to the distortionary effects of the Mercator projection?
Yes, it is. It is another. We are talking about another victim of the Mercator projection because we are talking about Greenland. One of the many targets of Donald Trump in the expansion of the United States of America.
Yeah. So he's been oh God, even in his first term, he was making noises about how, like, Greenland would be so much better if it were part of America. But I think at that point, he still had enough, non-psychopaths around him to be able to explain to him, like, okay, dude, like it's part of Denmark. Also, we already have naval bases and military bases there. Like we have everything we could possibly need out of Greenland. We're not gonna we're not gonna annex Greenland. That's absurd.
We're not going to do that. We don't need to do that. I think. Yeah, but before we do that, we need to talk about what Greenland is. Greenland is a territory of the Kingdom of Denmark, right?
Mm-hmm. It is.
I have to get this one right.
Yeah, it's the Kingdom of Denmark. Yeah. So like it's an autonomous part of the Kingdom of Denmark. It is under the king. It is not governed by the Danish parliament.
No, it is not.
Although I think the Danish parliament does have some powers regarding it. So it's not like a pure personal union situation. And there actually have been there are a lot of Greenlanders who have some, real issues with the Danish government.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a really nasty story a little while ago about like sort of one of the issues with how the Danish courts work about like assigning parental rights and what have you, is that people were having their children taken away from them if they didn't speak Danish because, they were Inuit, they were Greenlanders, were native Greenlanders, and Danish wasn't their first language. So, yeah, so like there's definitely some ways in which the Danish government absolutely has a role in how Greenland is governed. And perhaps not surprisingly, there is a relatively strong independence movement inside of Greenland that is looking to take that country of 57,000 people and make it an independent sovereign state.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So what's going on with the United States? The United States has had an interest in Greenland for quite some time. And in 1951, the United States signed a treaty with Greenland that basically allowed the United States to do whatever it wanted in Greenland. And so America had a ton of military bases. And the reason now, and then over the past, I guess, 10, 15 years, the amount of troops have gone down from like 10,000 to 200. So America's drawing down its presence in Greenland. Mm-hmm. But over the past, the first Trump term and now the second Trump term, Trump has been obsessed with acquiring Greenland. And the problem is that, like we said before, this treaty that basically allows us to do what the United States to do what it needs to do in Greenland. So you don't need to take over the country. So you don't need to take it by force. You don't need to annex it. You don't need to buy it. We pretty much have what we need already legally. So, and this has always been kind of low key. I mean, like he's saying stuff that's fine, but as soon as they started doing these things in Venezuela, now everyone's like, oh, this is like, okay, so now we actually have to be pretty concerned that
because what is America? There are no guardrails.
Well, who's next?
Crazy.
Who's next? And everyone in the world is probably thinking, who's next? Is it going to be me? And it seems for right now, the attention has been turned towards Greenland, and I mean, the reasoning for it is mostly because the polar ice caps have melted. They're not completely melted, but it's allowing for easier travel through what they call the Northwest Passage. And then basically you need to have more military installations in the area to prevent, like, because it's the easiest way to go around the world because the world is a globe and not flat. And so, Russia or anyone who wants to use it, but basically Russia and potentially China or whoever, right, who wants to use that space can use it, and you want to be in control of it. But that doesn't really require the control of Greenland as much as it requires the control of Scotland. I mean, Scotland
that might be, it might be a nice bit of territory to have if you're interested in, like, controlling the north Atlantic hemisphere. So Iceland. Oh my God, Iceland. Now that's prime location right there.
So MAGA has been working very hard to convince people that we need to have Greenland as effectively a colony or a 51st state. And everybody is putting this in. Basically, the rational people are saying you don't need to do any of that. But the expansionists are like, yeah, we need more states because that would be awesome. And, Rome never loses a battle. So
That's. Have you heard people make that claim that Rome never loses a
No,
battle?
no, no, no,
Like,
no, no, no.
okay, good.
That's
Because
all me.
okay, all
Uh,
right. That is a lovely. That's a fantastic statement of absolute imperial hubris, and I love it, and I'm here for it, Chris.
but that's what I'm seeing with this whole like Greenland thing. It's like first
Mhm.
off, so we should be carrying on from last week with this Venezuela nonsense, and
Yeah.
and the shitbag Maduro got dragged into court,
Mhm.
and and what's the first thing he said? I'm the president of freaking Venezuela.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I have diplomatic immunity under international law and also under American law because, say it with me, kids, under the Constitution, treaties are the supreme law of the land. They're not optional, they are the supreme law of the land because that's how treaties have to work, because otherwise they wouldn't be treaties.
or else they wouldn't be treaties.
Yeah.
So we had all this stuff with Venezuela, and now Trump has turned his attention to Greenland, and you're like, okay, so let's say that he wants to invade Greenland, wants to put troops in the ground, because he can easily just put them back in the bases that are already there. But no, let's say he tries to take over. I think it's called Nuuk, the capital of Greenland. And it obviously wouldn't be that hard. You just walk in. But then you're invading Denmark. No, basically, you're invading Denmark.
You are invading. Yeah, you're absolutely invading a sovereign state.
So what a lot of people have been saying now more than in the past week is that what are you going to do anyway? We can do what we want. Stephen Miller is saying it, and all the Republicans are saying, not all the Republicans, MAGA is saying it. No one's going to stop us. And then I want to bring in one phrase: asymmetric warfare.
Yeah, because it's fucking cold up there and not great terrain, and also like I don't know, man. Like how easy is it going to be to control of what is a large landmass, right? From just a few ports. Like this is the kind of thing that like when Italy invaded Libya in the 1910s, right? They took the ports immediately, and then they couldn't control the rest of the territory. It took them forever to grind their way through a terrible guerrilla warfare that just killed, just thousands and thousands of Italian soldiers, as well as thousands and thousands of Libyans. You know?
Like this is what I think. I think that like the reason I keep on saying that Rome never loses a battle because a lot of these people like the idea of never losing. They like the idea of stuff just happening and America winning, but they don't like the idea of Americans dying. And they're first off, Denmark can send over whoever they want, and they're not going to get stopped by ICE to America. Like we are, like America's a very, very big beast, but a virus can take down a big beast. And so I just don't like this. I obviously don't like what's happening, but what I'm seeing is that there is this willful ignorance about, nothing bad will come of this. It's just like Brexit. Right. Nothing bad is going to happen, guys.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want. There'll be no consequences for our actions whatsoever.
Yeah.
We don't have to think strategically. We can just be governed purely by base impulse, and it's going to work. So here's the thing, right? Like from a legal and international relations standpoint, Denmark is a sovereign state. So this would be an act of war. In making war upon Denmark, Denmark would then have the ability to activate Article 5 of the NATO treaty because Denmark is a part of NATO. Yeah. And that would basically require every other member of NATO to come to Denmark's defense.
Yeah.
Now, that includes the United States, which obviously would be the aggressor nation. It would mean absolutely the end of NATO. There would just be, or rather, it would mean the end of NATO as we understand it. Yeah. Because if you are every other state in NATO, you're going to have a choice to make, which is going to be, okay, that's it. Either you are an American vassal, you give up entirely, and you do whatever Donald Trump says forever, and he takes whatever he wants from you, and he gives you nothing. And your country, its long glorious history has now ended in ignominy and cowardice.
Yes.
Or what you say is, right, okay, well, now it's war. And then it's World War III. And I didn't expect, when I was a young kid, that World War III might involve the United States versus Britain, France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, all the like
well,
all
Europe.
of
I
Europe.
mean,
Yeah,
like America versus all of Europe minus Hungary, right?
yeah. So I mean, like, my God.
but that's where we've gotten to.
Yeah.
It again, I think Trump might try the 2 week trick on this one. They'll get back to you in 2 weeks and have come up with another idea. But
Yeah.
we are in a place until the elections in November, which he's trying to stymie. He's trying to get rid of mail-in ballots, which obviously these things are run by the state. So good luck. But yeah, let's move on from this.
Well, I do want to say something. There is some interesting reporting going on at the moment, which is that apparently there is sort of a move by, or at least there are discussions between Britain and other European nations to deploy a military force to Greenland in order to maintain Greenland's security against Russia and China.
Ah, yes.
Right. Which I think is
that's very important.
Well, it's very fucking clever, and I'll tell you why, right? Donald Trump's whole claim has been that we need Greenland for security. It's for our security purposes, right? Yeah. Because Russia and China are threats, and therefore they're going to come for Greenland. We need to control Greenland because they have all their ships doing things like trading and what have you. And obviously we can't have that. So for Europe to say, no, it's okay. We will absolutely take care of security around Greenland. Don't you worry about that.
Yep.
Number one, politically, it's a problem for Trump to then just say, well, no, what I really meant is I want the uranium and the oil and the rare minerals.
I want the resources.
I want it. And
I've already sold the rights to my friends.
Yeah, there is no peace. There is only Trump and my hunger, So, I mean, which, I'm sure Trump would be fine with, but Marco Rubio might have some concerns about that. And, people who don't want to end up at a new Nuremberg trial might have some concerns about that. So, that could be an issue. But it also means that there would be, troops on Greenland that might make it harder to just sort of march in, and
that's what I'm saying.
And honestly, I think that's the only way to deal with this is to make it clear to Trump that no, this game is not worth the candle. You actually don't want to do this. This is going to be more trouble than it is possibly worth to you. And then Donald Trump will chicken out.
Yeah. I mean, well, first off, you need the popular support more or less to do the thing. As we were saying last week, we've done absolutely zero. The MAGA has done absolutely zero work to the general public to encourage people to want this.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The polling is starting to come in and none of it is very encouraging for the idea of America going to war with the entire fucking world at once. Yeah. Right. You've got I think about the same percentage of Americans support Trump as support the actions of the United States in Venezuela, and most people are against it and don't think that this is a good idea. And when it comes to seizing Greenland by force, would you like to know what percent of Americans are in favor of seizing Greenland by force?
I would love to hear that.
8%.
That is too high.
That is way too high. 8% of America are fucking lunatics, Chris. Yeah. Which, although honestly, a little bit less than I kind of suspected. I'm a little bit hardened about that. 73% of Americans are against using force to seize Greenland, which means that the other 19% of Americans don't know whether it's a good idea to invade Greenland and seize it through military force.
Yeah.
I really want someone in the press to just fucking once do their goddamn jobs and ask Donald Trump, how many Danes and Greenlanders are you willing to kill to make this happen?
There's an easier question. There's an easier question. How many Americans do you want to see die for this for this action?
Yeah. What's an acceptable level of loss here? What's give us an over-under on this?
Yeah. As the commander in chief, how many troops are you willing to put in harm's way for this completely unnecessary act?
Yeah.
And no one's going to ask that question because, again, who owns these, outlets and papers? Jeff Bezos owns the Post and, and Musk owns X. So it's hard for people to ask these questions. Yeah. Trump owns CBS now.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. That's going really well. That's going super well. Tony Dokapil is just absolutely killing it as the new anchor on CBS.
Who just asked questions.
Killing it. Did I say killing it? I meant totally fucking it up in every conceivable way. It's very funny, Chris.
You should send me some clips. I haven't seen any yet.
Oh God, it's just like it's one of those situations where not even like he's not mispronouncing words every now and then. It's more like I don't know what story is next. Hang on while we figure that out.
No.
Yeah, no, it's really bad. No, it's really bad. Yeah, Barry Weiss doesn't know what she's doing because she's not a journalist and she's never worked in television. And no, she's just a fucking, she's a political apparatchik who finds herself. It's like in the Soviet Union, Chris.
Yeah.
When the guy who used to be a cobbler back in the pre-revolutionary times, but now is really big into the Communist Party apparatus, is expected to run the steel industry.
Yeah, right. I am the minister for coal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm in charge of energy or science from Chernobyl. I remember that guy.
Yeah.
And like the lady walked in and said something's going wrong with the radiation, and she's just like, he's like, I don't need to listen to you. I'm in charge of this. And she's like, I'm a physicist. He's like, and before this, I made shoes. And he's like, but I'm in charge now. Eat shit. And then
yeah. And then Chernobyl happened.
No, Chernobyl had already happened. Yeah, but anyways, so the last thing we're going to talk about today. Right. I want to talk about this bill from Senator Bernie Moreno because it specifically affects us.
It does. It does affect us both very personally. Tell us about this bill, Chris.
So Senator Bernie Moreno has decided to table a bill, and he did this last year, to ban the concept of dual citizenship in the United States. What the bill effectively does is it basically gives you 6 months to decide, are you going to be American or are you going to be the other? Mm-hmm. And it says that submit to Secretary a written renunciation of foreign citizenship, or that they will renounce their American citizenship. If you don't comply, there's some rules. Basically, it's a bit of MAGA legislation, right? Mm-hmm. And the man has basically said that it was an honor. I'm sorry, it is a privilege and an honor to be an American citizen. If you want to be an American, it's all or nothing. It's time to end dual citizenship for good. And I mean, first off, this is nonsense. This is insanity. And I mean, obviously, we both should declare our interest in the fact that we are both dual citizens now.
I am not unbiased on this. I am a dual citizen, citizen of the United States and of the Republic of Ireland. So, Aaron Gobrach and all that kind of thing.
And I am now a citizen of the UK and of the US. And I have earned my citizenship here. I've lived here. I've paid taxes. I have not worked in a bank. I am not rich. And it took a long time to do it. But obviously, like, first thing I want to say about this is that it's clear that he hasn't thought this thing through at all. And it's specifically to hurt Latinos.
Yeah. Oh, God.
It's obviously just to hurt Latinos.
Except that, he must not have thought about it at all, even a little bit, right? Because if you're Jewish, you're looking at this and you're like, well, this is a problem because, of course, under the laws of the state of Israel, right, the law of return, the whole idea is that Israel is the nation state for Jews, and therefore Jews around the world always have a place where they can be a citizen. Yeah, because that was one of the things that made the Holocaust happen in the first place, was Germany deciding we are stripping German citizenship from all Jews, and then they had no other citizenship, so they had no protection. So they could be murdered in their millions. The stripping of citizenship is one of the darkest things that a state can do, because your very existence as someone with protection at all depends upon being a citizen of somewhere, And
this, and the citizenship thing, just to cut in real quick, is specifically one of the very first things fascist regimes do. There was legislation that was tabled in the Commons this week about stripping citizenship from people. Now, it was a presentation bill. It's not going anywhere. It's at the time of the next King's speech, it will dissolve. The bill will go away. But it's like there's a checklist, right? There's an obvious checklist. But then obviously the point about Israel is salient. But what about the First Lady?
That's true. She's a dual citizen.
So she'd have to give up her
Slovenian. I think she's Slovenian.
Yeah, I think she's Slovenian. But I mean, remember Mitt Romney had dual citizenship. He was Swiss and American, right. And he had to give that up when he ran for president, which is fair. But a lot of rich white people have multiple citizenships, and a lot of it is like in the Caribbean and it's in Central America where the tax regimes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but the tax regimes are much more friendly. Or, they have European citizenship because they've got, family connections and whatnot. And honestly, like, if you have an opportunity to be a European citizen, you kind of want to be a European citizen. That's just a good idea for making your life easier,
Yeah.
So
I missed that boat. So
yeah, different boat. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, go ahead.
Okay. And on a very real point here. So theoretically, I'll look at it a little bit more, but how does that work for an American citizen? Because you can't make me renounce my American citizenship. I'm a native born American.
Right.
So I mean, I will always be an American until I decide otherwise, but you can't make me do it. Because I was born here. I will always have access to it as well. Even if I renounce my citizenship, I can be like, hey, I was born here.
Well,
so I'll just get my passport back.
That's the danger, though, right? Is that like they'll create a situation where they'll just say, if you're a dual citizen, then you're not a dual citizen because we're just not going to recognize your American citizenship anymore. It's the kind of law that doesn't make any sense as law. It's the kind of law that makes sense as a marker saying we are no longer governed by law at all. Like it's a way of basically just sort of saying, here's the new out group. Here's the new people to be persecuted. Here's the new list, right? Yeah. In the same way that the Nuremberg laws were not like laws as we normally understand them. That wasn't the point of them. The point of them was basically to declare, well, in the words of, I think it was frickin' Dollfuss, that Nazi from Austria, one of several, I decide who is a Jew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
this has that like stink all over it, because we will allow certain people. I think what's going to happen obviously this has to go through the whole committee system and the rest of it, and obviously the courts, if it ever does get passed. But But I'm thinking that there will just be the people who are allowed to be dual citizens and the people who aren't. And surprise, surprise, if you're from the Middle East, if you're from the continent of Africa, if you're from South America or Central America, you can't have it. Yep. But if you're from, the white West,
I'm sure they'll find a way to overlook that and say it's, that part's fine. You know what this reminds me of, Chris?
What's that?
Okay, so I back in 2004. I was working for an organization called America Coming Together, which was funded in part by George Soros, Chris.
My God.
Set your tin hats to spin, people. But yeah, so what was I doing? I was going neighborhood to neighborhood, house to house, registering people to vote if I thought that because I would ask people like questions and give them a poll, but it wasn't really a poll. It's just to figure out like where people stand on issues, if they're likely to not vote for George W. Bush to be reelected. Like it was basically just, trying to get Democrats and independents who are Democrat leaning to register to vote and then vote. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And this was, if you're really big into pure civics and whatnot, maybe you think that that's a little bit, iffy, but it's just you want to register people to vote. You prefer that they vote in your particular direction. It's not like someone said, oh no, I'm going to vote for George W. Bush, but also I'd like to register to vote. Well, no, I handed them the registration card and all the rest of it because registering people to vote. That's kind of the point, right?
Yeah, of course.
So, but so in the course of doing this, I heard one thing repeatedly from the Republicans I did end up talking to.
Okay.
Voting is a privilege, not a right.
Oh,
yeah. A lot, like pretty consistently. And I'd heard that phrase when I was growing up. I'd heard that phrase like as a child. I'd heard that phrase a lot. And what I should have shouted back at them is it's exactly the opposite. Voting is a right. It is not a privilege. Privileges can be taken away when the person who is more important than you decides.
Yeah.
Rights are things that cannot be taken away unless you forfeit them through some action of your own, right?
That's true.
So like the very idea that you would say that no, voting is a privilege and not a right is basically a declaration of there is no such thing as democracy. There is only those we decide are allowed to participate and those we decide are not allowed. And you, voter, have no choice in that.
And here we are now with the Exclusive Citizenship Act of 2025, which will be the Exclusive Citizenship Bill of 2025, because obviously it's not an act yet, Bernie.
Exactly. I do. Wait, no, is Moreno actually like trying to put that out?
No, that's his that's what they're calling it.
Oh, he's really good. He's so good at his job.
It may be the way. No, it says a bill, and like they said, this is what it will be called. Like this is dumb. Like you don't.
Okay, all right.
It's not. I'm sorry. That's me being pedantic.
It's still an incredibly stupid idea, and it deserves to be mocked within an inch of its life. I don't know, man. Like I feel like that's not making it past a filibuster. And I don't know that there are the votes for that in the House anyway.
There's too many people who benefit from dual citizenship who are rich, who won't want to deal with this. And
I mean, Ted Cruz ain't voting for that shit. He's a Canadian.
So I mean, so there's so many people who are not going to deal with it. I think that's enough for today. I just want to spend one moment going over a very important piece of business that happened overnight, and that is the Bears won the wild card game.
Sports ball. Woo!
Yes, sports ball. And it was I caught up on it this morning. It looked like we were going to lose massively. There were a lot of interceptions.
Oh wow.
Caleb did not play well in the middle, like in the third quarter, I believe. But kind of like last minute, like fourth quarter, we scored 25 points in the fourth quarter.
What?
To beat the Green Bay Packers.
Oh my God.
I am shouting. I'm shouting it out from literally nothing, basically 6 points in the first three quarters to 25 in the fourth quarter.
That's actually like I don't follow football, American or otherwise, but I do know enough to know that's considerable. That sounds like good work right there.
That was at home in Chicago as well. So
well fucking done, Chicago.
Yeah. So we'll try to end these with a little bit more good news,
right?
As well as we can. Hopefully, 2026 will end with good news as well. But until then, and as always, I'm Dr. Silverstein.
I'm Dr. Ramshaw.
And we are doctors,
not doctors.
Good night.